activities that runs the economy or makes the economy move perfectly well. Now, another importance of the human resources here is that it controls other resources. Other resources like the vegetation resources, the water resources, the atmospheric resources are controlled by the human resources. So if the human resource is intact, you discover that all other resources within the environment will be properly harnessed and channeled such that optimal benefit will be acquired from the use of these environmental resources. Now, human resources also serve as defense. In an area where we have ample human resources, an organized army will be set up to take charge of the defense of that particular country. But if otherwise, you discover that the defense of that country will be poor and the country will be prone to many attacks from opponents or enemies. Power is another importance of human resources. Countries like the USA, with so many trained and capable human resource, have grown to become world power because they have the technology, they have the scientists, they have the education, and everything seems to be working out well because of the type and the quality of human resources which they possess. We mentioned something earlier, the renewable and non-renewable resources. So we'll look at their differences. Renewable resources here are resources that are recoverable. That is, they can be, recreated or can be retrieved. Example, we have rain, animals, plants, soils, etc. So rain, even though it falls, it has a way of being recovered. As it falls, part of it seeps into the ground as on the groundwater, part evaporated either from the surface of the earth or from the surface of the sea back to the atmosphere, where it accumulates and gradually it condenses and begins to fall back as rain, form of precipitation. Animals, once there is procreation, another animal is produced, and plants, the same thing. Soil also, from weathering of rocks, gradual deposition, another soil resurfaces. So these are all renewable resources. When we're talking about non-renewable resources, we are talking or referring to resources that when exhausted cannot be replaced or recovered. An example of this type of resource include the mineral resources like petroleum, coal, tin, copper, etc. So let's take a few questions. Question 1 says, what is environmental resources? Environmental resources has to do with the substances or materials present within our environment that are of importance or benefit to man, to plants, and to animals. Question 2 says, describe the importance of water as an environmental resource. Water as an environmental resource has the following importance. 1, it serves as a source of food supply. Now, food materials like the fish, the crayfish, and other sea animals serve as food for man. And water also serves as a means of generation of electricity. That's the hydroelectric power. And water aids agricultural activities. Water is used for irrigation. It is used at home for domestic activities like washing of plates, clothes, for cooking, also for taking of for bathing. And water serves as a means of employment for boat builders, for swimmers, for fishermen, and also serve as a means of tourism. People go to the banks of rivers, the coast of rivers, to catch funds, and has also served as a source of ornaments and minerals. The next question there is differentiate between renewable and non-renewable resources. Like we said earlier, renewable resources are resources that can be recovered. An example of renewable resources include the soil, the plants, the animals. Whereas non-renewable resources are resources that cannot be recovered or once they are exhausted. Example, we have the coal and the petroleum, etc. Now, the last question is list and explain 4 factors which affect the size of human resources. We said earlier that human resources controls other environmental resources, and the ability of man, which is now the human resource, to effectively harness other environmental resources in order to obtain maximum benefit from other resources within the environment is a function of many factors. And the question here has demanded 4 of these factors. We have 1, the technology level of a country serves as a factor which determines the size of the human resource in that country. Education or educational level of that country does seem, and we have factors like natality and mortality. Natality has to do with birth rate. The higher the birth rate, the greater the size of the human resources in that country. And finally, mortality, which has to do with death rate. The higher the death rate, of course, the lower the size of the human resources in that particular country. Environmental problems. Environmental problems here refer to any natural or man-made or man-induced disaster or event which poses serious danger to the lives and properties of people within a given environment. Now, apart from the natural occurrence of some of these hazards, the activities of man trying to tap environmental resources for his benefit can lead to environmental problems. So there are many types of environmental problems. We have volcanic eruption, which is natural. We have drought. Drought could be man-induced, and it could be natural. We have soil erosion. We have deforestation, mass wasting, hurricanes, earthquakes, flooding, tornadoes, oil spillages, and many others. So we're going to be taking them one after the other. Now, soil erosion is a process where the topsoil is gradually removed by erosional agents like water, wind, and ice. And several things are responsible, or there are different causes of soil erosion. And soil erosion could be as a result of deforestation. Deforestation has to do with the indiscriminate felling of trees. Bush burning can also lead to soil erosion. And overgrazing, when cattle are made to overgraze a particular area, that in turn may lead to soil erosion because the vegetation in that area, which would have helped to some extent reduce the speed of the moving water or the wind or even the ice will no longer be there because it has been overgrazed, and as a result of that, leading to soil erosion. We also have excessive rainfall and wind. Excessive rainfall can also lead to soil erosion.